Technical error. That was on my part. So, hey, I got three of you here so far. So hopefully, everybody can hear me. Since every once in a while I have the dreaded audio issue. Can anybody hear me? That would be wonderful if you could comment. That would be superb, as they say. Come on, Tyler, you're on here. No? Well, wait here. Let's see if we can get a few more people to pop in tonight. I've been kind of on the hiatus for 2 weeks, so people probably forgot. One due to technical difficulties, and one to we were at a Halloween party. So, if everybody wants to comment over in the comment section or wherever you're at, YouTube or Facebook, that would be awesome. And I know who's here because all I see is a little eyeball with the number 3. Ooh, let's see for a moment. Hopefully somebody else will. Well, I might as well get started. So tonight, I really don't have like any fancy slideshows per usual and all that good stuff. But audio's garbled again. Okay, hold on. I wonder if it's my connection. I think I'm going with a shotgun mic from now on. This whole wireless thing is not fun. Ah, it's probably because I unplugged and didn't stick it all the way back in. Now, can you hear me? No audio. That's really weird. Now, are we good? Good? No? Okay, perfect. Whew. One of those things. I hate technology, the bane of my freaking existence between work and here. So, yes, good. I'm glad everybody can hear me. I don't know. I think I'm just going to roll with a shotgun mic and spend some more money. Why not? I don't know. I've had a hell of a time with these Ceramic wireless mics. I had two screens crap out on the transmitters. It took me months to get them replaced. It's annoying. So, well, I'm going to leave this pretty open this evening to lots of questions. So hopefully you have questions. So I want to talk about mirrorless cameras. So that's all the hot new rage, per se, or has been for a while. So if anybody's familiar with you have your traditional, excuse me, DSLR, which has your little mirror, so when you look through the viewfinder, bounces off the mirrors, and that's how you see through the lens and all that good stuff. When you get into your world of mirrorless, it is exactly what it says, mirrorless. There is no mirror in it. I was trying to figure out, like, as I was thinking today, like, about mirrorless and where did all this stuff come from. It's really interesting because if you're familiar with the mirrorless world, Sony started it. It reminds me a lot of the transition from the days of film to digital, where it was kind of like, it's kind of a fad. And then guess what stuck around? Digital stuck around. So I'm pretty sure mirrorless is going to stick around. But to be honest, I kicked and screamed to mirrorless because I am very comfortable with an SLR. I have had a digital SLR for, when was that? 18 years? 17 years? Since 2005, whatever. how many years that is these days. Um, but if you got questions on the mirrorless, pop them in over on the chat and I will answer them. But it reminds me a lot of the world from, like I said, the film to digital age, and people thought it wasn't going to be around and it was going to disappear. I thought the same thing with mirrorless, to be honest. I hated it. When I worked at Photo Pro, we started carrying the first mirrorless that kind of came out. It was all the rage. Everybody was talking about it. And I was just kind of like, yeah, no, not my thing. I'm a creature of habit. So once you get into like my SLR sitting over there on my desk, you know, I know it. And I've kind of him and hawed for the longest time on do I go mirrorless? Do I not? Do I go mirrorless? And I finally decided the next camera will be mirrorless. So if anybody knows us poor Nikon people were left hanging on mirrorless for quite a while. Canon had already been doing it. Sony had been doing it way longer than Nikon. So the Nikon Z6 and Z7 to kind of equate that. Think of Z6 if you're a Nikon shooter or Z6 II now in the world of like the D750s and a D850 was your Z7s and your Z7 IIs. Now they have the, geez, I can't think of it, Z9, which is like the pro level high end. You're getting up to like your old Nikon D6s. I know Canon's got the R6, the R7, R3. I don't know Canon SLR, or sorry, mirrorless as well. But oh God, in the world of Sony, you've got everything there. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I decided the next camera was going to be mirrorless because it almost had to be. And I kind of foresaw it coming that eventually they're going to start discontinuing Nikon bodies. I worked in the industry long enough. I know when there's long hiatuses between things are probably going to disappear and not come back. So as I was sitting around and thinking, I was like, okay, the next Canon, geez, next camera has to be mirrorless. So I started looking, and I don't love my Nikon mirrorless, to be honest. I've had it, geez, in 2 weeks. I'll have it a year. I will still pick up the SLR. It's sitting over there first, just because I feel comfortable with it. A lot of my issues is the whole freaking lens compatibility thing. So, you know, the Nikon, Canon, Sony's an E mount. Nikon is called the Z mount or the Z mount. We don't call it the Z in the US for some godly reason, but everybody else in the world calls it that. And then you got the Canon RF mount, if I remember right, with all that good stuff. So they all have a different mount. So that's a con for me, only because we all know as photographers how much expensive glass can be. I live and thrive off my 70 to 200 2.8. For me to get a Nikon one right now is $2,300. Do I want to buy it? I really, really do. I could probably swing it. I don't want to though. So I don't know. I'm kind of in this weird him and hawing because I am kind of an oddball. I love third party lenses. Give me a Tamron any day. I will take a Tamron lens if they're way less cost. They are just as good as usually as the Nikon lenses. I've never had issues with them for what I do. I will say, when you get into this whole mirrorless world, you can look at adapters, so it's not such a big jump. Because I think right now, if I replace every Nikon lens, so I'd want 24 to 70 2.8. We've got two versions of that at Nikon now. I mean, you're looking at least 2K on the 2.8, 24 to 70, additional 2300, and that's on sale right now. So it's like 26 or 700 at the moment. Oh, my sound is garbled again, weird. And then let me know if it gets better. Hopefully it does. Fingers crossed. And then at the same time, we've got, geez, if I wanted a macro, that's another $1,000. My 50 is another like $800. I mean, it's a very, very big investment to jump over. So I just recently learned from on Facebook the Tamron rep from the Rocky Mountain region that covers like all the west part of the U.S. There's a super duper adapter that's like really, 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 oh geez, like fast and has like no issues because I have the Nikon. I should have brought it. It's upstairs, but I have the Nikon MPZ adapter, I believe. It adds a lot of bulk between the lens and the body, so I can take an F mount, which is the standard DSLR mount, over to the Z mount. But it kind of stinks because on the third party lenses, so Tamron Sigma, I can only speak to camera on. I haven't had a Zoom one in several years. But it slows the autofocus down just a smidge to me. Everybody says it works fine. I think it's slow. If I'm doing wildlife, problem. If I'm doing sports, problem. If I'm doing landscape, I really don't much matter. But if you get into the whole adapter thing, it's fine. I did the numbers yesterday evening and thought about trading in an Nikon Z6 II plus the 24-70 and 7200 and a D850. I can get both lenses that I use 99% of the time with camera on and get a $250 adapter and then switch to Sony. I don't know. It's a lot. But the thing is keeping me from even the big switch to Nikon was like my light over here that I use to light myself for these lives is also a studio light. I have all the transmitters are different. Everything is different. So I'll probably just stay Nikon, unfortunately. Not that that's a bad thing. So anybody have any questions on the world of mirrorless? What are you looking at? I mean, the one reason my advice is, let me go through some questions I've been getting a lot lately via email and text messages and everything else. Is do I need to go mirrorless? Does anybody need to? No. The only concern I have if you stay SLR is everything's getting discontinued. Canon has killed off a very large amount of their mounts, their lenses, for the regular mount. Nikon is doing the same. Sony did that a long time ago. So you could say Nikon, on average, unless it's changed, Canon was the same way. Is they only support parts up to 5 years. So in 5 years, if you have something, or sooner, if they run out of said part or said parts, like I don't know, like battery door breaks up, probably going to have that for longer than 5 years. I don't know, say a CPU board goes out or circuitry of some sort. Nah, you never know. Probably a lot rarer than it normally is. They may have those up to 5 years, but that's not going to be supporting. So I would say if you're looking at a next camera, just make it mirrorless. It is going to be a jump. It's going to be a big difference in things in the sense of like compatibility. Double check all your compatibility. I assume my Nikon Z was going to work with the studio light transmitter because the reason I bought this set of lights was it was upgradable, meaning I could take the firmware or its little brain and how it functions and works, and go from there and upload new brain to it, and it was supposed to work. Well, guess what? The company is not going to support that. So it's kind of annoying. So now I'm stuck. Like outside of new lenses, now I have to buy a set of new studio lights. That's why I'm not trading in that D850 yet. Tom mentioned I can get with you with Z9 and the FTZs after if you want to try it before you buy. I would love a Z9, but that would break the bank. So, I'd like to put my hands on a Z9. We should probably get together. See what all the rage is about. I know people waited. That's Nikon's pro line. Like you're not going to get anything higher than a Z9 at this point, if ever, whatever they call it. But I mean, it's hard. If you're thinking about mirrorless, you might as well do it. Pull the trigger. I bought a kit with the 24-70 f4 because they didn't kit it with the 2.8. I've almost kind of find out with the high ISO capabilities on the Z6 II, I don't really need 2.8. If I put a 70 to 200 2.8 on it, I don't shoot the thing at 2.8 anyway. I shoot it at f4. So, and I get the compression, so I really don't need 2.8. But I'm really waiting for them to come out with some more lenses and the more usable lenses. To be honest, I don't know why Nikon's doing it this way or Canon is doing it the same thing. They're coming out with a stupid long glass, like 400, 500, 600s, and the 800s. They're like 15K. I don't know. I mean, to me, that seems like a much smaller market unless that thing's exploded in the last several years. I understand for the sports photographers and wildlife photographers and things like that, but I'm not. Well, Tamron just announced the Z series lenses for them on a 70 to 300. So I'm going to cross my fingers that Hopefully they'll drop a 70 to 200 and 28 to 75 to 8. I'll just stick with it and go. But we'll see. It's a lot of, I would say to the Nikon world, things are a lot newer for all of us. Canon's got some great stuff. Actually, was a professional photographers of Iowa back in March. I got to put my hands on, I think it was the R3 at the time. It was super light. And I was pretty impressed with the Canons. So, any questions on mirrorless? Like anybody's like kicking around a mirrorless? Like, what do I get? I mean, Sony's going to have your, I think, the best options in the sense of like lenses because Sigma's making lenses. Um, Cameron makes a plethora of lenses as well. But if you let's talk about like the world of one to one. So if you've been Nikon or Canon for ages, you might want to stay that way just because everything's going to be very similar. I will tell you, it's not bad if you jump to Sony. The problem is going to be is their terminologies are a little different. Menus are a little wonky. It's one of the reasons I did not initially jump to Sony. I couldn't wrap my head around all their menus. But I mean, my Z6 II is pretty much the same as my D850. I don't know, Tom, if you're still on, if you have noticed that a lot of that is still the same for most. But any questions on the whole mirrorless world? Oh, I see B's on here. I know I think B has a mirrorless, if I remember right. I don't know if Evan has any. I don't know. You got a mirrorless, Evan? I'm trying to think if everybody might have mirrorless. So, but I mean, I don't know. It's just an interesting transition. We're in that weird transition phase. I mean, it is gonna just be what it is. It is gonna be mirrorless. So if you're thinking about it, um, think of your mirrorless camera. I will go back a little bit to like one reason I don't. There's one reason I don't like the Nikon mirrorless is when I take my lenses off, my camera sensor is completely exposed. It doesn't have a curtain or a shutter. It drops down like the Sony's do, or they used to. And then now I have freaking dust spots on. It's just annoying. I don't even want to clean the thing. It's easier to Photoshop them out because I'm just going to swipe it and get junk on it again. So, garbled audio, hard to guess. Okay, so you do. You know what? I should. I don't know if I want to attempt that. Let's attempt it. Now can you hear me better? Hopefully, somebody comment or some friends and it's using the mic. Good and worse. Hold on. Horrible. This is attempt. I apologize. I'm going to fix this somehow. That's still not good. Okay, now is it better? It says it's fine. Good. Um, I've just been plagued with this whole issue for like 2, 3 weeks. Oh my. No, not good. Let me think. Cutting out. That is interesting. Now is it better? Let's see here. Okay, now is it better? We will see. I thought maybe that was the problem. Michelle, that it was way too close. It may be the whole wireless thing. I'm not 100% sure. Now does it sound better, Michelle? I may be having a delay between comments. Hmm? Yay? Nay? Hold it in my hand. Now is this better? Seems to come and go. I bet you it's the wireless thing. And I wonder. Yeah, I think it's better, but if you turn your head, you cut out. Okay, well, we're just going to roll with this then. I'll hold this damn thing. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to get this fixed eventually. I think I'm just going to go with the shotgun mic. I don't even know where I was now. Oh boy, somebody throw me some mirrorless questions out here. Let's get back on track. Um, so anybody got a mirrorless in particular? I'm thinking about switching. What do you do? Oh, oh, it's my mother. Hello, mom. Um, oh, no questions whatsoever. None. We still got like a half hour. I don't want to like drone on about mirrorless in this. Well, until somebody comes up with a question or two, three or four, hopefully, or maybe eight. I actually started out with a mirrorless 4 years ago, actually, and I sold it. I had a Olympus. Oh yes, all things. Oh, Canon mirrorless, Michelle. No, well, I've talked a little bit about it. I mean, they're discontinuing lenses, things like that. Not mirrorless world, but do you have any particular questions in the world of mirrorless in general, in the sense of the Canon? Until I see a question pop up, I will keep going with my thought. So I started out actually with a mirrorless camera. What was the Pen F, which was a rangefinder. It was super cool. It was like a rangefinder where the viewfinder was off to the right, left on the camera. I bought it for Disney 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Wrote it much better. But I will say, I should have kept that thing. It was super small and compact. I had like 5 lenses in the bag with the body, and it was a really really small camera bag. So that was interesting. It created like the most beautiful black and white images I have ever seen, and I sold it to actually buy a used D850. Um, so Michelle said, I haven't. Well, let me. I always have this. So Michelle says, I haven't looked at them since the photo book was closed. What lenses are they discontinuing? Would you do Sony over Canon? Well, that is a good question. So in the world of, I should have clarified that, Michelle. They're discontinuing all your EF mounts in your EFS. It seems like they're like literally cutting them all off the knees very quickly. A lot of your L glass, if you're familiar with the Canon lenses, the L glasses are like high super end lenses. Those were going. I mean, I'm not as versed in the Canon world anymore since I'm not at the store. They've got a whole lot more options for you, Michelle, since you looked at them last. And it was probably good that you waited because, as with all things in time, things get better, more options. They've actually come out with some pretty interesting telephotos on the Canon side that are pretty affordable, depending on what you want to do. I don't know what you're photographing anymore, if you're still doing a little bit of everything. But I will say, let's talk real quick about the whole would you do Sony over Canon? Let me think about that. I will tell you, if Nikon showed up if Sony or Canon showed up to my door and said, we're going to get rid of all this crap, your Nikon crap, and give you either or, I wouldn't say no. If you're sticking with the big three, Canon, Nikon, Sony, I don't think so. You may have, when you popped in a little bit late too, Michelle, I did talk about the Sony menus are a tad, a little bit more complicated than they used to be. Or not, I shouldn't say them. They used to be, they've always been a little different in the sense of like verbiage and terminology. But it's something I think you can get used to pretty quick if you sit down and study it. Let's pop up this question. So if I want a lens for my current, I need to do it now. Probably. What lens are you looking at? Because a lot of them have gone, and that's what I had last heard. Like I said, I am not as I don't eat, sleep, and breathe every piece of camera news anymore because I don't need to. Um, but yeah, let me know what lens you're thinking about, and I am more than happy if I know out of the top of my head. I was kind of shocked by some of the stuff that they were actually discontinuing. These are kind of like bread and butter stuff for most people. But I know they are getting rid of a lot of the lenses, unfortunately. But like I said, they're only going to support things for 5 years on bodies normally, maybe a little bit longer on lenses. But I would definitely look at if you are thinking about mirrorless, I would say before you just go dumping stuff and go buy, try to find. I know it's going to be hard for us in the Cedar Rapids area, but you can always reach out to me and ask. I know Omaha's like 5 hours away, but they always do a lot of in-store demo days. If I'm going to spend a bunch of money, it should be worth 4 or 5 hour drive. Make a weekend out of it and go search. You do have Camera Corner down in Davenport. I don't know what they're doing these days for demo days. Tom said the lunar eclipse. Didn't even know there was one. Well, I guess I knew it when you messaged me a little bit ago. November 7th and 8th. Time and date. But I mean, I'm trying to think of places. You got Des Moines. They do some demo days. Christian Photo. West of there would be Omaha for your nearest dealer. Southeast, wherever the heck Davenport is from here. They will do demo days. You have Madison, Wisconsin. I think you've got Arts Camera Plus in Madison, or up that way. You got cameras. God, I can't think of it. Camera something up that way that will do things. I mean, it's or if you really want to like spend some time with it and really play with a mirrorless, go to like Borrow Lenses or lensrentals.com and rent a kit and for like a week and just eat, sleep, and breathe it. Make sure it's a week you have open where you can just every moment of the day go out. I mean, I will tell you one of my things that that I'm struggling with on the mirrorless on the Nikon end is my viewfinder. I will look at it and like I'll get my settings all set. I'm like, God, that looks a little bright or dark, and I will compensate for that. And then it is overexposed or underexposed, and it's horrid, and I have issues, and it looks like crap. Or if I just go back to what it's too bright or too dark of the viewfinder, then it comes out perfect. So I just struggle with that. On an SLR, I didn't have to worry about it. I just looked at my screen. So it is what it is. That's one of the things that I've struggled with. I don't know how the Canons are. I'm curious to see what the Z9 would be like, or Z7 II. Maybe it's a Z6 II. Maybe it's the settings that I don't know about. But any other questions in the world of mirrorless? They do make crop sensor mirrorless if you're not into a full frame world, the full frame cameras. They do those, just not as many. I know Nikon's got like a Z30, I think now, which is more of a blogging camera. I almost thought about getting one for the lives, but to have a dedicated camera for something like that, if you're doing video content or content in general. I think Canon's had the N series, like N50s. That's probably an old model now. They've had those for quite a while if you're in that world. Let's touch on Fuji. I forgot about Fuji. Fuji does not do mirrorless. Well, sorry. Naka, they do mirrorless. They don't do full frame. It's really weird. They do crop sensors and they do medium format. Yes, medium format. I would kill to have a medium format Fuji. I actually had one for like a week that I got to borrow from Fuji, and I did love it. It was okay, not for the cost. I think, yeah, they do their mirrorless. I can't think of the model on it. But they don't do full frame. I would have gone if they would have done full frame sensors. I totally would have gone Fuji ages ago. They had a lot of unique lens choices, and I was actually kind of blown away by it. But everybody that shoots a Fuji mirrorless says, the crop sensor's like full frame, which in the world of technology doesn't make sense to me. But I have seen beautiful Kim Pagel, a good photographer friend. He shoots a lot of bird stuff is Fuji. I don't know what he has. Fuji XT. There's so many models these days as well. If you get into the Michelle, into the Sony's, there's usually if there's an R like A7R, R is for resolution, meaning it has the higher megapixels. I think right now the highest megapixel, don't quote me on this, like 60, 61 megapixels. Then if you see like that, like A7A, that's another model too. But the A is, I think if I remember right, Astro, or like it's good for low light, a lot of video stuff, low light. So really, when you get into the Sony mirrorless world, there's lots of choices, like lots and lots and lots of choices. So get ready to like, what do I want? What do I not want? And go from there. A good thing that I used to do at Photo Pro was if you're looking, let's say, Michelle, Sony, Canon. You can watch a DP review. So Delta Papa at dpreview.com. And what it will do is you can go in and put into columns Sony A7 III, A7R3, Canon, say R6, R3, and you can look megapixels straight across, ISO range straight across. It makes comparing so much easier. It'll also show you release dates, so you know how new the body is. A7 III is probably the most popular of the Sony realm, just because it's kind of like the Nikon Z6 II line, where it's like the 24 megapixel range. Any other questions on mirrorless? I just feel like I'm rambling tonight, but I don't want to like really have any like set points, because I mean I could talk mirrorless with do you want to do it or not? Is Chris on here? I swear I said Chris, Mr. Jennings was on here, and I know you had some questions on mirrorless. There are no dumb questions from anywhere, so I'm not sure. We only know what we know. Somebody's bound to have a question. Come on. I always feel like I have to coax questions out of you guys. Trying to think what else I could touch on in the world of mirrorless. Um, one of the pros of staying with, if you're Canon to Canon or Nikon to Nikon, or is a lot of your stuff is going to be fairly compatible. I mean, for the most part, unless it's really old. But I'll say one thing that's super nice with mirrorless is you don't have that mirror anymore slapping the top of your mirror box. So you don't, possibly if you're doing long exposure work, astrophotography, there's a lot less chance you're going to get that little slight vibration that's going to give you that unslight short picture. The other thing that's super awesome about the mirrorless that I have loved is when you've had a DSLR, especially if you're into the full frame world, especially if you're getting up into like the Canon 1D series, 1D Mark IVs, 1DXs, and 1DX2s that are like the sports cameras, the Nikon D6s, that kind of stuff. And you're shooting 12 plus frames a second. Those are loud. So if you're somewhere where it's like dead silence, you don't want to be known that you're taking photos, it is what it is. There are silent modes like on my D850, but they're about as useless as board. But for me, you can go into silent mode, which is super cool, and it just clicks. How do you clean the sensor on a mirrorless? Tom is asking. As far as I know, it is the same. You'll have your swab. Now, I think we were talking about this 3 weeks ago now. Was Evan had said that Nikon did not recommend having the user, as we'll call ourselves, the photographer, due to the in-body stabilization. Like swabbing is too sensitive. I don't know. I meant to look that up, and I have not looked that up yet. It's on my list. But as far as I know, it's supposed to be the same. I haven't heard any differ from anybody. I don't know if that's true form or fact, but it's what I have heard. I mean, it's the same as simple as 2 drops of liquid on your little swab, swab in one direction, flip it, swab in the same direction. Nikon, sometimes I feel like when Nikon and Canons need to send it to us for the camera cleaning, sensor cleaning, so you don't screw it up. Well, yeah, if you're using sandpaper on a stick, you can screw it up, but if you're not, there's no big deal. I mean, it's pretty much safe. Just if you just got to have the right tools. You got to have the correct swabs for a full frame sensor, have a fully charged battery, um, or like AC power. So as long as it's on, it's going to stay on. So you don't have any shutters closing and all that good stuff on your sensor swab. But I mean, for the most part, it's pretty not scary. First time you do it, it scares the crap out of you. Any other questions? Got some good ones. You Connie said joined late. I need to learn read lips because is it garbled again? It was garbled early on. I'm gonna I'm gonna figure this out. I'm not loving this whole wireless thing here. Says it's working. Oh, let's see. Somebody else let me know if it's garbled. Worst case scenario, I'll end it early. Um, well, let's just, since I don't have any more mirrorless questions or having audio issues, imagine that. If you can hear me, is I'm going to actually record my podcast here after we are done here this evening. It's going to be going to drop Monday. It's going to be 5 tips on finding your photographic voice. So be pretty better again. This is weird, but well, we will start wrapping things up since it wants to be evil. Next week, so 11/12 on the live, I'm going to go through 5 tips for setting up your camera. So some real basic stuff, things like that I like to do. On the 19th of November, we are going to do the elements of landscape photography. So the things that I teach in photography landscape workshops, things like that. So, as I say, FMB, forward or foreground, middle ground, and background elements, all that good stuff, lens traces. That'll be fun. And then on 11/26, I'll be out of town this week, Thanksgiving, so there will be no show. I may get bored and pop on or something, but question about calendar. Can you give us details? My calendar, like the one I'm selling, calendar, or the calendar of shows for this show and my I have lots of which calendar, Michelle? Yes. Which one? Sorry. Um, well, let's talk about all three. And then I'll hit them all three. So my calendar, yes, if you're interested, you can go out to tedfordphoto.com. I am, yes, the one I'm selling. So we'll talk about, yes, I do sell a calendar every year. It is live. So tedfordphoto.com. There's a thing that says 2023 Iowa Scenic Calendar. They're $20. If you live in Cedar Rapids within 25 miles, you can select free shipping. I will bring it to you. I have options for U.S. Postal Service to ship it to you. I mean, the worst case scenario is probably $30 all around. So if you have any specific questions, Michelle, you're more than welcome to ask. But I mean, I do sell it every year. So it would be greatly appreciated if you would buy one. But I don't want to sell anybody on anything. But thank you for asking, though. Oh, when will we get it? Oh, good question. So I've got sales open through the end of the month, and then I'll have them ordered by the end of the month, and then I'm hoping to have them first week in December. It was a little late this year. I was struggling with trying to find. I was trying to keep the price the same because we all know crap has gone up considerably, and I don't like to raise prices. I don't have to. There's no. Some people say, "Yeah, I'll spend $30 on a calendar." I don't want to charge somebody $30 for a calendar on top of shipping. It's asinine, but it is what it is, I guess. But I did find the same vendor I used before, and their prices didn't go up. And I was actually testing a vendor that would ship to everybody. Wouldn't have to ship, but unfortunately, they did a horrible, piss poor job on shipping to me. It came scratched and dented, and then they wouldn't give me any refunds. So if you went to them and said, "Hey guys, I want a refund because it got damaged," like, "Nope, it's custom, won't do it." So like, "Nope, not doing it." So that was it. So if anybody's got any last minute questions, throw them out here now or ever hold your peace. Oh, you're thinking about doing one next year for my parents. Do you mind telling us who prints yours? No, that's a good question. I actually use SmartPress out of oh, Let me think. They're in Minnesota. You can use McKenna. Um, the problem with SmartPress is you kind of have to be a designer in the world of PDFing, and I have a plethora of graphic designers at my will at work that are always willing to help me out on their own time. So they do the designing part for me, so I don't have to. So awesome, if you know, graphic designer. Um, McKenna's super nice. I'm very particular, like on my calendar. I want the metal spiral. They can do custom. I wanted to do a square calendar the last 2 years, but I just didn't make it happen, and everything catches up on me. So, and then now with my new super secret project, that don't ask me, I won't tell you about it. Sorry, I can't. Contracts. To be honest, I can't talk about it until later, but eventually, all in due time, you'll get to hear about that. So, all that kind of stuff has like tied me up too. So, any other questions on anything else? Let's talk about podcast real quick. So, podcast is out the second and third or first, and I can't even remember my own schedule. It's twice a month. It's a nextshotpodcast.com if you're interested. You can go on there if you're really excited. You can buy me a coffee or two to keep me going. Um, but it's all about photographic stuff we're talking. I'm trying to have like this month. I wanted to have Trent Foltz, and guess what? We had audio problems. Imagine that. So I don't know what that was. Well, I think I know what it was about. It was all stupid switch. Maybe that's what this thing is here. So, but I was going to have him on. I got to re-record with him. Chris Foley, we had some issues again with audio. I don't know what my bane of my existence in audio is, but it is what it is. So we'll get that. And that is one thing you can do. Watch nextshotpodcast.com. Check out. Leave me a review if you love it. That's awesome. That's how they kind of like get out there and promote it to the world. So I'm going to give it another 20 seconds. Does anybody have a mirrorless question? Sorry about all the audio issues. I am just going to try to figure out something different. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I need to probably just get them off camera mic. So, any other questions before we roll out and call it an evening? Nope. Okay, well, thank you guys all for joining. We'll see you all next week where we'll talk about 5 tips for setting up your camera. Podcast drops Monday. It's going to be 5 tips on finding your photographic voice/vision. The other thing, too, is out on my podcast website, nextshotpodcast.com. There's a little microphone on the side, I think. You can leave questions. I really want to do an episode where I answer your guys' questions, and I need questions. So go out there, leave it. If you have issues with it, let me know, as I haven't tried it yet. And then you can always email them to justin@tedfordphoto.com. So awesome. Well, thank you, guys. This was kind of not as fun as they normally are because of audio issues and everything else. So perfect. Well, again, thank you guys for all your support. I can't thank you enough. Everything from calendar purchases to listening to the podcast to spending your Saturday nights with me. So again, thank you guys very much and hope to see you all soon.